what's up? This is Vince Valentine, EX Turk, and this is on the advice corner. I just thought I should just give my advice to people who need this. And what's the topic, you say? It's about red flag teachers. Now, I know people, winter break is over now. You're going back to college. Sorry, it's just, you want to see my face. I know you guys going back to college to learn some new subjects, to learn some, to learn a new trade and stuff like that. And you know what? That's good. But I'm just going to let you know, there's nothing wrong with questioning stuff that's being taught in schools. There's nothing wrong with questioning people in general. You gotta live with that mindset that you can make... See, part of being a man is to think on your own level. To think for yourselves. It's really dry in this room. What I'm trying to say is that don't think of yourself as an outcast. Don't think of yourself as a freak just because you're smart enough to make your own ideals work for yourself and not for others. Don't just be bought in by people for no reason. I never done this real life advice for a while, but I'm going to kind of start. But no, don't be just bought in all the way. Now, it's good to learn other things. And it's good to learn things from people. But also make it your own. You know what I'm saying? Make it your own. Take what you learn and make it your own. Don't let no one force you to think the way they do. Sometimes it's okay to be an outcast because not everything sounds right. Not everything sounds real good. Don't just be bought in with what people. Don't just believe someone face value. They tell you something, don't just believe it face value. It's okay to question. It's okay to have questions. Because you know what? Once you question, it shows how smart of a person you are. That you don't just take things from values. The reason why I say this is that there's a lot of red flag teachers and professors out there. That's, and if you look, you gotta look at the history of any professor or teacher. And if the history kind of sounds red flagish, you need to wake up and realize something's not right about you, right? And there ain't nothing wrong with it. Yes, you're gonna be put in a corner and, as an outcast. And you know what? Sometimes it's okay to be an outcast. Being part of what I believe being part of a man means to learn other people's stuff, to learn other people's beliefs and everything, but to make them your own. To make your own principles, your own judgments, your own way of life. And the reason I tell you avoid red flag teachers, because red flag teachers will only teach you red flag things. I started doing my research and stuff like that. Like, I started doing my whole research and stuff like that. Like, I see this thing called, I see what some of the nerds or other people follow this popular thing called PUA communities. And I've done my research. Most of these guys brag about, having sex with drunk women. It's like, that should be a red flag right there. That should be something to avoid. Do not be fooled by these false teachers. Do not be fooled by people who teach red flag things, because they will only drag you down. Red flag people do red flag things. If you have a bad vibe about someone, trust your gut. Trust your gut. Because creepy people do creepy things. Red flag people do red flag things. It's just like it's just like a kid. It's just like if you let a kid go inside the lion's cage in a zoo, the lion's going to eat the kid. That's what lions do. Bad teachers can only do one thing, and that's to teach bad things. They ain't gonna teach you all the way, like they ain't gonna teach you completely all the way. No, they're gonna spoon feed. They spoon feed things. You gotta have your own way of life and your own way of thinking. This is why I think this is important to my people who are subscribed to listen to me when I say this. There's nothing wrong with questioning things. In fact, it's healthy because it makes you a man if you could start to see the truth and not be bought in by the collective, the sheep. Don't be a sheep. Don't be a part of the collective. Think for your own self. Continue being who you are. And don't change it for anybody else or anyone. Because the way I see it, there is no individualism in this world anymore now because everyone's indoctrinated. People are indoctrinated to this and programmed to this new ideas. I'm not going to say what it is because I'm not trying to get my channel taken down. But I'm just saying, if you have the tendency to question people, that's actually a good thing because you're a man, because you're starting to think for yourself and not letting others think for you. And that's what you need to be doing. You need to be you need to be, thinking for yourselves. Stop trying to follow people that's only going to lead you astray. Red flag teachers can only teach you red flag things. Creepy people can only teach you how to be creepy. And it's not just only the PUA, but a lot of people. Some professors in college teach you some things that just don't sound right, and it's okay to be questionable about that. Yeah, you're going to be an outcast. Yeah, you're going to be treated differently. But better that than just being a pawn to someone who's just teaching you things that don't sound completely right. You got to question every little thing that goes on. But most of all, I'd stay away from the PUA. I would stay away from, someone who teaches you extracurricular. Like I said, I had to put these kind of, words in so I don't get my channel thing. If I told you about everything, this channel would definitely get shut down. But don't just believe people. Have your own mindset and your own conclusion. Don't just go around believing people face value. In fact, the way I believe it, you're an adult if you could challenge what you're taught and make yourself a better person by either changing what you were programmed to believe. Yes, I'm part of the young generation. Again, I'm 25 years old, 25 years of age. But I know a little bit, I've grown a little bit. I've been raised in the 90s, so I've seen things progress just, a little bit when I was younger, so, but, you might be an outcast, but it's better to be an outcast than be someone who just takes things for face value. And the reason why, now, back to the red flag thing. Now, let's talk about red flag. If you see any behavior that's strange, question it. Don't just sit there and say, well, you know what? That's alright. This person knows what he's doing. If someone has a red flag past, they're only going to teach you red flag things. That's like trying to go to, if you want to learn how to pick up girls, but then you go to a guy who has, records of sexual assault and stuff like that. It wouldn't sound right, would it? It'd be like a driving instructor who has a lot of traffic tickets trying to teach you stuff. It wouldn't sound right. That's why I said you gotta question things. You gotta really question things. You gotta question everything. Even the communities that you're part of, it's okay to make your opinions be made about the community that you're in. Because you know what? Better than that, then you find out on your own that all the stuff that you thought was perfect is not perfect. Alright? It'd be like an overweight person being a personal trainer, trying to teach you how to lose, trying to teach you fitness. If they're not fit, they can't teach you fitness, right? Like, it would make sense. The point I'm trying to say is that take this knowledge. I beg my subscribers to take my knowledge and to understand questioning things is part of growing up. Because then you don't just believe things. And also, just examine the past lives of your teachers, of the people who teaches you things. Examine their record, examine their behavior at their full, because you don't want someone, you don't want to be taught by someone who's doing something they shouldn't be doing. There's gonna be people who spoon feed you. Bad, you know what? I've always heard the devil has many faces. No one's going to tell you the truth up front. No one's going to do that, because if they did, then they would lose some credibility. What I'm trying to say is, like, you examine the past of a person's life before being bought into the teachings. It's their past life will tell you everything about their future. Now, people may change. Yes, I agree with that. But I'm just saying, be careful who you follow. Be careful who you look to. And, well, that's it for this advice video. I'm going to see you Archfiends a little later. Remember, red flag teachers can only teach red flag things.